Of course, again, it's time for your favorite show. That's right. I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's the best show. Actually, I don't know if it's the best show. I think it's pretty awesome. You tell me it's awesome, so I keep doing it. And here we are. So, on this episode, we are going to talk about my favorite finishing moves that are submissions. So, let's get right into it. All right, boys and girls, going to do another episode of the Kick Out, and this one is on submissions. And I really didn't know what I was going to do this week. I kind of got down to it today, actually, and did my research. So I switched it because I was going to do one topic. Was like, no, let's do this one because the other topic I'm going to have to do literally a top 25 list. It's just so much. So let's get into it and find out what I think are the best finishers as submissions. So number 5 is the Texas Cloverleaf. The Cloverleaf was actually invented by Dory Funk Jr., and then it was later popularized by Dean Malenko. The move itself would actually help Malenko win a lot of matches. Yes, I know he has a Tiger Bomb that he won with, but we're talking about submissions here. So the Texas Cloverleaf is a pretty big move. A lot of people know what it is because of Malenko. That move itself never really got any shine because he was in that mid card. The Cruiserweight Championship division and stuff like that. So it never really got into the main event spot. So you didn't really get to see it there. But even though it wasn't in that kind of spotlight, it still got the recognition that it deserved by fans. A lot of fans, know who Malenko is and understand that he had one of the best submission finishers ever. It's such a cool looking move. It's awesome. It's basic, and at the same time, it's technical. I really like it. It's just a fantastic move. So number 4 is going to be the Scorpion Crosslock. And I know you thought I was going to say something else for a minute, but the Scorpion Crosslock, this move is applied by you start off like you're going to do a sharpshooter, and then you turn them over onto their stomach, but you're still facing their back, and you pick them up and do a chicken wing clutch, double chicken wing clutch, and you hold it. So they're suspended in air while they're still in the sharpshooter part of it and the double chicken wing. That move was actually created by Bull Nakano over in All Japan. And then it was brought over here in the mid-90s, and then it was popularized around then. Later on, it would be adopted by Paige, and she would use it a lot in NXT, actually, and win several matches and use it to defend her title when she was champion. Paige used it quite often, actually, which I thought was really cool because you don't see a lot of moves like this. I mean, an honorable mention one was the Black Widow with AJ Lee. I mean, she was so small. It was so easy for her to lock that in. It's kind of like with this, Paige basically knew she had it in the bag and she would lock it in. It was just a really awesome looking move. And when you're locked in it, how the hell do you get out of it? I mean, you can't move. So let's go with number 3, which is the Sharpshooter. So the hold was actually invented by Riki Choshu. I'm hoping that's how you say his name. Over, of course, in Japan. Fans may think of the Sharpshooter and Bret Hart in the same sentence. It's synonymous with him. But back in the day, Pat Patterson actually told Bret Hart that he should do a Scorpion Deathlock. And at the time, Bret Hart had no idea what that move was. So he was trying to figure out how to apply it. So Conan actually taught him how to do the move. And Sting had been doing this move before Bret was even in his singles push. Bret was still a tag wrestler by that time, or during that time. So Sting was still doing it, and it was actually popularized by Sting, but Bret Hart is the one that gets the nod for doing the sharpshooter and stuff like that. I don't ever call it the sharpshooter, actually. I call it the Scorpion Deathlock. And, obviously that Deathlock has a lot of meaning to me because Sting, my favorite wrestler, does it. So it's going to be pretty high on my list, but it's not number one, which you think it would be with Sting being my number one guy, but it's not. It's not. It's number three. But my number two is, excuse me, the Dragon Sleeper. The Dragon Sleeper was actually created by Tatsumi Fujinami, and then it was brought over from Ultimo Dragon in the 90s when he came over to WCW. I could tell you when I first saw the Dragon Sleeper, I was like so captivated by the move. It's a simple lock, and to me, it was just so cool to see a wrestler like Ultimo Dragon have strikes. He pulled off power moves, and then he goes in with a submission like the Dragon Sleeper. So it was a super cool move. So the Dragon Sleeper would actually be picked up by Loki in the next generation of superstars, and he ended up using that hold. Another fun fact about the Dragon Sleeper is it was actually used in a MMA match in 2017. Now, you're probably wondering, like, why does that matter? Well, because those type of headlocks are apparently banned, but the Dragon Sleeper is one of the moves that you can use. And it also somebody used it and won a match in a MMA match. Somebody did back in 2017. And why it's such big news back in 2017, it was the first time that a WWE move was used to win a match. And, you had the guy that did the Boston Crab and won one, but the Dragon Sleeper was I believe it was the first WWE hold to win a match besides like the guillotine and the rear naked choke or whatever, but that's not WWE style stuff. Those moves are old. But yeah, that move was pulled off in an MMA match and somebody won with it, which blows my mind that somebody did a Dragon Sleeper in the middle of one of those. That's wild. And my number one move of all time, it comes down to the Crippler Crossface. I don't call it the Crossface. I call it the Crippler Crossface because that's how I learned it in WCW. That move was actually created by Dean Malenko. So Dean Malenko had created the move and gave it to Benoit to use in WCW. Another cool thing about that move, you could with the crossface, there's a modified version of it, the label lock. Daniel Bryan himself, uses that move too. He instead of putting his leg underneath the arm closest to the body, he actually puts that leg over the top. So that's like the variance of that move. It's not very much, but that's the slight variance or the modified version of that. It is the only submission in 2000, and since 2004, that submission won a world title at a main event at WrestleMania, which was WrestleMania 20 in 2004, which blows my mind. I never thought, I want to sit here and go through WrestleManias, but as I was reading it, it says that it's the only time that the title was won by somebody with a submission at the main event. And that blows my mind with all the WrestleManias. We had 19 WrestleManias before that, and that's the first time that it happened. That's insane. And another little fact about the Crippler Crossface is after Benoit's murder-suicide, the move itself was removed out of SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 video game. And it was also removed in SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 and it wasn't brought back into the game until 2010 when they rebranded the name of it and just did the Crossface. They took out the Crippler part of it. So, I understand that they wanted to get away from that, and everybody knows about the PR disaster that comes along with, Benoit and stuff like that. But, on the Wrestling Open Forum show and Take It Home and the Kick Out, we don't shy away from, controversial content like that. We want to bring it to light and talk to people about that kind of stuff. But the Crossface is my favorite submission of all time. And going down this list was pretty tough. I had the Sharpshooter at number 5 at one point, and then I had the Dragon Sleeper at number 1, and then I had to switch it, and I was like, maybe I should put the Crossface number 1. But I feel that the way that I have my ranking really reflects even my favorite wrestlers too. It just happens to be that way. And I wanted to incorporate a female wrestler too, and it wasn't hard. With the Scorpion Crosslock, that was a pretty easy move to put in there just because it's so unique. I also want to hear what you think. What you think what your lists are. What's your favorite submissions? Maybe cattle mutilation. Maybe the figure 4 leg lock. Black Widow. I want to see what you think. A simple sleeper hold. I want to see what you guys think. But that is my top 5 wrestling moves, Those are my top 5 finishing moves for submissions. Thank you for watching the Kick Out.